Good evening. This is the Board of Public Works meeting, Monday, May 24th, 2021, at 6 p.m. And we're at the new DPW offices at 965 Plain Street, Marshall. Tonight's agenda, we have two appointments, an executive session to talk about the superintendent's contract, two action items, the approval of open meeting minutes of 5/10/21, and hearing on March 2nd, 9th, and 10th. And also a letter to discuss the shorefront protection government infrastructure bill, which we had discussed at the previous meeting and which was brought up by Dave Carrier. A discussion on what the progress on the construction at 965 Plain Street and Marshall Hills sidewalk update. Then we're going to do a superintendent's report. Our next meeting is Monday, June 7th, 2021, and then we'll do the executive session. Well, we're going to do the executive session at the end. We're going to do everything before that, and we're going to close with the executive session, probably to return if there was a vote. Otherwise, we'll adjourn in the executive session. Do I have a second for the agenda? Second. Okay.
I can hardly hear it.
Sure.
Then we have to come back after to adjourn.
Before adjournment, you said adjourn. I think you
Adjourn.
I'm all set, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Poll board, Tom?
Hold the wood.
Okay, motion's been made to accept the agenda. Chairman Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Carrier,
Yes.
Clerk Cusick,
Yes.
unanimous.
All right. So the first action item, approval of open meeting minutes of May 10th. Any comments and questions?
Excuse me, Bob, can we just pass over the 10th and just go to the other ones? I put it in my notes too.
Okay, so we're just doing the two hearings,
3 hearings,
three hearings
Yeah.
on March 2nd, March 9th, and March 10th.
yes.
Okay. So who would like to talk about that? Dave, were you at the hearing?
Let's see. I'm not listed as being the hearing.
You
So
were
the
first
hearings
one.
were held on the road acceptances,
Which was passed over by Tom.
which was passed over at town meeting. So those are the minutes from those meetings that we had, those open meetings we had for the road acceptance with the residents.
Dave, you were present for March
no.
2nd,
Yeah, I was gonna say, not for the,
not for the other two.
Yep.
No.
Okay.
I had no problem.
John, you were there for the
Yeah, you
second
were there for the one
also,
on March 2.
and that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to accept March 2nd, hearing minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Hold the board.
Motion to, has been made, Chairman Shaughnessy.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Carrier.
Yes.
Clerk Cusick,
Yes.
so moved.
So then the next one is March 9th, 2021. The road acceptance public hearing in which no member was there. Tom Reynolds and Rod Casino and staff were there. Any comments?
No comments.
No comments?
None.
Any comments? Any, so comment, having no comments? I'd like to get a second on accepting the minutes.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, barring any discussion. Chairman Shaughnessy.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Carrier.
Yes.
Clerk Cusick,
Yes.
unanimous, so moved.
All right, the third hearing was on March 10th, 2021. No board members were there. Rod Casino, Tom Reynolds, and staff were there. I don't have, as the board has reviewed this and any comments?
No comments.
No comments? Having no comments, I'd like to get a second accepting the minutes.
Motion's been made and seconded, barring any discussion. Chairman Shaughnessy.
Yes,
Vice Chairman Carrier.
Yes,
Clerk Cusick,
Yes.
so moved.
Okay.
Unanimous.
Good, Emily, thank you.
Thank you, John.
and I guess the one comment I'd make, if I recall correctly, when I was here for the first meeting on the second, and I don't know if this was the case for the 9th and 10th, but we basically had little or no public participation.
Right, I think there was one individual, at least one individual from at each meeting, but I think we only had questions from one group.
okay. Next action item is the infrastructure.
We're passing over the minutes for 5:10.
5:10 Dave, yes, I put it, I
That's
documented
fine.
it.
All right, at our last meeting, Dave Carrier presented a letter in which the board had discussed, including the planning board and the selectmen, and sending one letter to our representatives in the federal governmental level of government. To Elizabeth Warren, Senator Warren, William Keating, our representative, and marking our senator. Any comments on the letter as revised by Dan Bowen?
I was satisfied with the letter. And I would like to point out that we also have included a carbon copies, the governor, our state senator, and our state representative.
That's correct. I'm okay with this. It's
Okay.
very good.
I'm okay with it. So hearing that, I would like to accept the letter as written, and I as chair will sign for the board, and then we can pass it over to the select board and the planning board.
Right, what my plan was, if I may, Mr. Chairman, is once the vote was taken tonight, I was gonna ask to have this be put on the agendas of both planning and the Board of Selectmen,
Sure,
to have them sign on to this.
sure. So we can do it. When's their next meetings?
Probably 2 weeks. The selectmen meeting every month. I mean, they haven't gone on this
Everybody, I'm not
summer.
They're meeting once every 2 weeks right now.
Every two, okay,
They
so,
usually don't change to the summer schedule till after July 1st.
okay, so what will, if they're meeting tonight, I believe.
Yes, they are.
And so 2 weeks I'll ask to be put on the agenda.
Okay, good.
I think the planning board does meet a week from, not only this week, but the next week. I think they have.
Okay, I can ask them also tomorrow when they, if I could get on the next meeting.
Okay, so I accept the letter. Do we approve it?
Motion's been made and voted on.
Second.
It's been seconded, and requires a vote now. Chairman Shaughnessy.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Carrier.
Yes,
Clerk Cusick.
Yes.
Unanimous, so moved.
Okay. So the next,
tell Danny did a nice job cleaning it up.
I will. Dan's enjoying himself on vacation.
I don't want to hear it.
what's a vacation?
Yeah,
I'm
I hear
on
ya.
vacation.
Okay, the next item is discussion items. 965 Plain Street, the update of the construction and the rehabilitation of this facility.
Yes, 965 Plain Street is, we continue to move forward on the removal of the unsuitable material. So we've moved probably close to 700 cubic yards out of there to date. We saw cut the parking lot. We're not gonna remove the asphalt and dig under the parking lot until we get backfilled out in the main part of the building.
That's sensible.
You know, we'll bring the compacted soil right up to that edge, and then we'll start that area. We're starting to come back up. We were down as deep as 9 feet, and now we're starting to come back up. We're more like at 3 feet now, but there's still some deep areas by the parking lot along the edge. So we'll be addressing that. June 1st, they're gonna do the tap and sleeve and gate out here for the water. And I'm just waiting now on the gas installation. But they came out last week and marked all the corners of the buildings. So we've got a 10-foot offset for every corner. And we're cutting 10 feet beyond the footprint of the building in order to get all the unsuitable out of the way.
What is define unsuitable?
It's more organics than it's anything else. It's stumps, it's loam, it was backfilled at some point.
Oh,
So it's nothing hazardous.
there's no 21E. or-
No, absolutely not. There's no, and all this material has been approved for use on site,
Oh, good. So we can recycle it because it's organic,
right?
or like, it's a low grade loam.
Right. We've trucked that off site and we've taken the top, what was, it wasn't sandy gravel, but it was a clay gravel that we removed and stockpiled. So if we can at some point mix it, and we gotta bring it up to subgrade down floor, subgrade here anyway, so.
Basically, we have to achieve the compaction level. That's what the
Right.
soils have. to do.
Right, and we had to start adding water because of how dry the material is, just to get the moisture content up. So we've been wetting it, at night, we put the sprinklers on it.
I think we should mention the fact that we're in the process right now of receiving pre-qualifications for the sub-bidders.
Yes, we're supposed to have that sometime this week.
That they're going into our project manager, PMA, and then
They're reviewing it, and then there's a committee set up to review all the sub bids. And I've been informed by council that I should not take part in the review of the
Gina.
bids because I have a relative that works for a company that could possibly bid on it.
so you're gonna have me stand in.
So you would be the one that would take my spot on that committee.
They don't have a schedule yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
We should be
Hopefully
finding
Wednesday
that out
we'll know.
Wednesday for sure.
Now on the gas pipe could be pro pipe.
Yes. Yeah, they said that would be good.
Basically, the discussion we had, Weston and Sampson's standard design is the coated steel pipe. And that doesn't restrict us. Basically, it's the plumbing inspector and building department that are constraints of the gas company. And Tom did all the spade work to get that out of the way.
Yeah, the less mechanical joints, the better we are.
No, I called Aldo. I
Right.
said it, yeah.
John, you did tell me that.
And I mean, the bottom line comes down that,
It's simple.
it's their standard design, and we're not bound by their standard design if it saves us money. And this will save us money.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So is it plastic pipe?
It's the poly pipe, yeah.
yeah, Polly.
Doesn't have to be sweet at all.
Yeah.
The direct burial, you can do it. I mean, basically, the distances we're talking about, you can probably get it one continuous length, so the only
Yeah.
joints you have are on either end.
Which is a good thing.
Yes, definitely,
Fewer joints, the better.
Yeah, absolutely.
definitely.
Okay, anything else for the,
Trying to get that, I think the only other thing to mention is we did get a finalization with our friends on the photovoltaic world. We will not be putting up any carports in the existing paved area until construction is done and we're occupying the building. We
Right,
stood our ground on that, and they yielded.
yes, there's not enough space now, and when they
We
put
can't
the
work.
construction fence up, it's gonna even limit us even more. So we determined that for the sake of parking for employees and equipment, that we couldn't coordinate the two while the construction's going on, so.
And the other wrinkle that's into it is that some of the physical locations they were banking on to start with have been relocated, so it makes quite a difference.
Right.
The only other thing I was thinking, Tom, is and this thought occurred to me subsequent to our last meeting, so for our next meeting, just to put you on. They were talking about that one carport, the additional separate one.
Oh, right,
Okay, thinking about that, that would interfere with maintenance of our drainage swale.
and there's also leaching.
Right, we get the leaching field there as well.
field, so
So
he
to me,
said,
that should be. taken
yeah, they
out.
did take it out
Did
already,
they? Okay,
yeah.
okay, any other items that are going on with Plain Street?
No, other than the water project, and I can save that for my superintendent's
Okay,
report.
the next item is the Marshall Hill sidewalk update.
The sidewalk update, currently, we're the first week in June is the proposed start date for up there. I have had some inquiries most recently about the tree on the corner of Old Main and Prospect, the big tree that's there, and they're asking if we reconsider maybe removing that. That's the biggest tree probably on the street.
Easy, as far as diameter.
It's probably got a 4-foot diameter trunk, so it's something we can possibly do prior to, and I'm still waiting. I asked that Eversource, their tree trimming crews are in town and they're gonna take care of the trees for us up there on Old Main, and I've asked them that our start date is the first week of June, and they said that they would have those trees down upon me in the first week of
So
June.
with this big tree that's on the corner of Prospect,
Yeah, it's a monster and it is foliating again, but it's.
Yeah,
it's pretty
my
simple.
original plan was to maybe just go up and take the dead leaves off and see how the rest of the tree would hold up. I'm gonna have, they've supposedly had a certified arborist come out and look at it. So I'm gonna have my arborist go up and take a look at it too, and kind of give me an idea.
how's that with the alignment of the roads?
It's off the road. Has no impact on the construction. It's away from the curb. And that area, we bumped out the curb on Old Main Street and made a little bigger grass area there, so it doesn't impact the sidewalk.
It's not really in the sidewalk part.
So why do they want to take it down?
Well, they're saying that it's dead.
Basically, the abutter to that piece of property wants to
4
strip
foot
it. That's what
diameter.
it was then.
The tree's older than the person.
Oh, yeah,
Easy.
very.
So does it make sense to take it down?
Well, we're gonna check.
No check.
We're gonna have our arborist take a look at it.
All right. It would be not, it would be nice to take something down. It's not.
No, I mean, there's a couple of good sized leaders that are dead.
Yeah.
That really need to come down, and if it's rotted from the inside, it makes sense to take it down.
Well, it'll come down in a hurricane.
Right, well, we don't
That's
want
not
that
good.
because it would do some major damage.
Absolutely. Okay, good. The next item is the superintendent's report.
We're up against the time when we're gonna have our.
Yeah, it's 6:15, so we can go to our appointment. Now I can finish.
Okay, so let's go right to the appointments. First appointment. And live from Zoom. Is it Zoom or Teams? Zoom, I guess.
Zoom.
Zoom. Allison McNamara.
Alyssa
Alyssa
McNamara Reed.
McMahon.
Hi guys, how are you? I'm here.
Yes.
Can you
McNamara.
guys hear me?
Yes,
Alyssa McNamara Reed, thanks so much for having me. I'm here today representing the Chamber of Commerce, and I have with me, I'm the president of the Chamber, and I have with me my two vice presidents, Jeremy Devaney and Philip Ashcroft. Thanks, guys. So if it's okay, we just wanted 5 or 10 minutes of your time just to update you on some things that we're actively working on in town. You guys have been supportive of our efforts in the past, and of course, we've worked with Tom recently, and he's been very supportive, and we really appreciate that. So we just wanted to update you. So I do have some images, if I'm allowed to share screen today. I have some images to show you that I think are helpful as we go through some of the things that we're working on. Is that allowed on your Zoom meeting?
Sure.
Sure. Well, before we do that, could you describe what Webster Walkability project is?
Yes, sure. So it's all in the slideshow, but yes, that's fine. So the Chamber has a subcommittee, an economic development subcommittee, and one of our initiatives since actually 2018, we've been working on this a few years, but one of our initiatives is to enhance safety and walkability for, pedestrians and families, et cetera, in the Webster Square area. It's obviously a very busy, lively area. We have a lot of member businesses in that area, restaurants, boutiques, et cetera. It's very busy, of course, as you know, with the skate park and the playground and the library and all these things. So we have been having a lot of discussions, and we're taking a lot of steps to try to revitalize the area, but also improve safety and walkability and do a little bit of beautification down there. So that's the idea behind Webster Walkability as an initiative. But today we wanted to update you on a few specific things that we're working on. And we are actually hoping to get some funding here pretty soon. We've applied for a couple of grants just last week, and we're hoping to get some of these things funded. There are some things that we're hoping that the DPW will cooperate with us on because there's some small labor components that we'd be looking for some cooperation with. So that's another reason that we're here today.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Okay to move on. Can I try to share my screen? I'm actually not sure. Okay, here we go. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yes, we can now.
Okay, great. So I don't need to go through the whole presentation, but we do have this whole presentation about Webster Walkability, the initiative. Hold on, let me see if I can. Okay. One of the things that propelled us forward with this initiative is that about a year ago, we did receive a grant from the state. I think, Tom, you were involved in that a little bit, but the state sent a consultant to Marshfield, and she walked around the Webster Square area of town with some representatives from the chamber, and also Greg Guimond was involved, and some of the police officers. And the woman from the state, she walked around and she made some proposals regarding, enhancing that area of town and making it more friendly for visitors and for residents of town. So she produced what she called a charrette, which was essentially just surveying the community regarding what does the community want to see in that area of town for enhancements. And then she produced a report, and she delivered that to the chamber. We partially, we worked very closely with her. So what the chamber did was we took some of the results of that survey that the state produced for us, and we picked a few things in there that we wanted to move forward. So that study wasn't going to do us any good if we didn't try to push some of the enhancements forward. So that's essentially where a lot of these ideas came from. This is just a little bit more about Webster Walkability. We don't necessarily need to go through all that. But this visual right here, again, is the result of that report from the state. And what this colorful graphic here is this woman put together a list of what the community wants to see in the Webster Square and Library Plaza area of town. These are all the text right here. These are the things that the community wants to see per the results of this survey. And what the arrows are here, that I put the arrows onto the graphic, and I'm indicating the things that we're addressing with these proposed enhancements. So basically, what the community wants, we're trying to deliver to the community via some of these enhancements. So some specifics in terms of what we're looking to implement here, hopefully sometime this calendar year. One of the ideas that came out of this study was the idea of what we're calling pop-up parks. And there's a couple areas of town, that area of town that we're looking for specifically. The first one being this area here. This is the road that leads to the library. Most of the traffic goes straight, but you can go off to the right as you enter Library Plaza to the library. So Dairy Queen is right over here to the right outside of the image. So we are looking to place mobile, like cement, very heavy, very sturdy, all-weather benches and planters in this area for a couple of reasons. Number one, to provide extra seating and a little park and place for the community to gather, but also to control some of the traffic flow for safety reasons that goes in front of the library. And we have been told that the library is perfectly happy for this area right here to be blocked off and for traffic to be forced straight and only turning and going in front of the library entrance if they're intending to park and walk in. So it would control traffic a little bit. We've also spoken to the owner of Dairy Queen, who's incredibly happy about this potential little project here. It would be great for his business, of course, and I think would really beautify that space. So that's one idea. And as I get to the end here, I'll indicate and show you some details, but we've already applied for funding and fingers crossed that we'll get some money to provide this furniture here. There's another, we were also hoping to put a pop-up park, so very similar concept, would look the same right across the street to replace these Jersey barriers, which as you all know are right across from the skate park. So I forget the exact dimensions, but we had our consultant that was helping us with the furniture proposal, measure out this space right here, basically as deep as these bushes right here. And if the Jersey barriers could be removed, and another little pop-up park here in this area, you know, with plants that would help beautify the space and allow, again, for a little space, safe space for the community to gather. So again, funds have already been applied for, fingers crossed that we're hoping to get these funded very soon.
I have a question, Alyssa.
Yep.
The area you're showing here, some of that's public way and some of it's private property.
Okay.
Are the owners on board with that?
I was not aware that this was private property. I thought this area, this whole area here was public, was owned by the town.
I would have to verify that. I thought a piece of that, what you're showing there was, I thought was adjacent and under the control of Paul Kaufman and that property he owns.
Okay, I mean, it's just a proposal. Not, you know, no furniture has been ordered. We don't have the funds yet. It's just a proposal. Certainly, the dimensions and the size of all this could be, you know, manipulated if, of course, if the area is not, you know, for our use, and or if the property owner didn't agree. So it's just a proposal at this point. I did, of course, communicate with Mike Moresco on this. He's actually the one that worked closely with the chamber to apply for the grant to potentially fund this furniture. Okay, but yeah, that's.
You'll get answers to that question then.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yep. The next idea is, so again, if we think about the next idea is to try to obtain some solar powered lights that might also be really cool and have like cell phone or tablet charging stations. Actually, these particular solar powered lights also have Bluetooth speakers, which is just kind of cool. But we were thinking about these areas like these two pop-up parks, for example, but also areas like the playground and the skate park where the community really tends to gather, especially in those places can still be busy on summer nights. We were looking to have some, you know, again, solar powered lights with charging stations placed at various areas around town, just as a little, you know, safety enhancement, but also something kind of cool, like, you know, parents with their kids at the playground or the skate park can, you know, charge their phone or their laptop or whatever. Again, we've already applied for, we sent an application last week for a grant to potentially fund this as well. We won't hear back for about a month, but that's just one idea. And that was a result of the survey as well, some sort of solar powered, some shade, but also some solar powered lights. Okay. We were also, and again, Tom has been privy to a lot of these conversations and again, really supportive, and we appreciate that, Tom. Another idea was just this, this strip here along Library Plaza Road, adjacent to the Tumble Fund parking lot. I think there's one tree there maybe, and a couple of benches, and we just thought it would be nice to have like a row of trees, and Tom had actually mentioned pear trees or something because of their shallow roots, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, the specifics certainly don't need to be up to me, but just looking to sort of beautify that a little bit, add some shade, add some, you know, visual interest in that area. And again, this, we already applied for a grant, or maybe we can look for some member businesses to help us with the cost of this particular item. There's one idea we had, and again, this was another direct result of that survey that was done by the state. They were focusing on the Library Plaza. They called it the knoll, that small grassy hill area in front of the library. And the suggestion there was maybe some picnic tables, but also some interactive art. And so the idea that we had regarding interactive art was, as you can see from some of these pictures, like a small, not a huge climbing structure, but a small climbing rock for kids, like a little, you know, gravel, like the top picture here, just a little defined area with some sort of a climbing rock for kids as they're going in and out of the library, provides a little visual interest, doesn't have much maintenance ongoing in the way of landscaping, et cetera, and just kind of something fun for the community. And again, this would be right in that same area as that pop-up park that we're proposing right in that area next to Dairy Queen. So that would just be kind of fun, kind of low cost enhancement to that area of Library Plaza. And then the last one is we're looking to have the parking lot right outside of the skate park in Levitate. We're looking to have that repaved. And we also were hoping to landscape the corner of that lot that faces that intersection. And we just thought that that's a very high traffic area. And we thought if we had some sort of a low maintenance landscaped area right there on the corner, maybe like a welcome to Marshfield engraved stone, something, again, that's low maintenance. Moving forward, maybe a little bit of greenery there, just something to give it that warm, welcome to Marshfield downtown feel. As long as we're doing that work paving, we thought we could define an area there and beautify that a little bit. And Mike Moresco has said that he has identified some funding to help us with this paving, but we've also applied for a grant to look for, to help us match some of that funding and look for some of the money for the landscaping. And Tom had already mentioned, I've got a rock, I could find a rock for you or something, and then we just have it engraved. So those are the ideas. At some point I'll come back and maybe we'll talk about a stoplight at Webster and Snow Road, but I understand that's a big project and that's for another day. Just to let you know, the Chamber has a really active social media page, or several social media pages. The community, we've tossed a lot of these ideas out to the community and they're really excited about it. And so we're kind of invigorated, and we're excited to try to move these forward. So just so you know, so on the left, we have applied for 2 grants. One of them, Tom had actually mentioned to us, was the Shared Streets Grant. We just submitted an application last week. Mike Moresco and Patrick Delarusso were very helpful. They worked with me and Lara Bright, the executive director of the Chamber, and we asked for, I think it was about $153,000 basically for that outdoor furniture for those 2 pop-up parks. So fingers crossed, we'll know in about a month if we receive that money. And there was also another grant opportunity through the state called the Destination Development Grant. It was really money for trying to increase tourism in your community. And of course, Marshfield is, great. We have a lot of tourists and summer residents, et cetera. So we asked for money for the paving, landscaping, the trees, a little bit of money for that, climbing rock and the pebbles, and the solar lights. So again, we'll know in about a month if we receive that money as well. So we're looking for money. We're trying to push these things forward. So we're really just here today to update you. And again, look for your continued support. And I actually had a few specific questions for you. So just number one, hoping you'll support us in our efforts. The community seems to be excited. Again, Tom has been really cooperative, and we thank him. And Sean Patterson before him was very cooperative. So a couple specific things, and again, I'm never really sure if I should be asking Tom these things directly or the board, help me out with regard to that. But there's a few things that we would be looking for the DPW in particular to help us with. And I've just put some of that, maybe we don't need to go through the specifics today, but I'm just hoping that it's appropriate if we are to receive some of these funds and move some of these projects forward, hoping that it's appropriate to ask for the DPW's cooperation with some of the labor components, which I really don't think are, big labor components, but just I'm going to go one step further regarding the pop-up park near Dairy Queen. One idea was that, and I spoke to the owner of Dairy Queen about this. I don't know if you guys know, but when Dairy Queen is closed in the off season, he puts that, his name is Bob, he puts that chain to block off his rear entrance. Have you guys ever seen that? It's like an orange chain and it has flags hanging from it to block traffic cutting through his parking lot. Because that's a busy intersection there. So what we talked about is if we had the benches and the mobile furniture placed in the parking lot area for the spring and summer months, perhaps it could be moved. We would need the DPW for this, of course. Perhaps it could be moved to block off the rear entrance to Dairy Queen in the winter months so that we don't have to have that chain up, and it solves the safety issues there, and it's a little bit nicer looking than the chain. So that was just an idea. That would absolutely need DPW cooperation because I'm assuming you guys have a forklift. I'm not actually sure, but we would need a forklift to move the furniture. So that was just one specific issue there. So again, just looking for guidance on if it's appropriate to ask for your cooperation on that. And also just the last thing that was hanging for us, and we have talked to Tom about this, but we just wanted an update on the MassDOT Complete Streets program. As we understand it, there's a lot of money up for grabs in that program for, you know, sidewalks and things like that, that really align with some of the things we're trying to do in this area of town, and likely with a lot of the things that you guys are trying to do. So we were just looking for an update on that. I know there's training, et cetera, that you guys need to go, or that the DPW needs to go through to get into that program. But that's why we're here. Thank you. I know I talked a little bit too long. I'm sorry for that, but we're excited.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. I have two questions.
Okay.
On the pop-up park by the Dairy Queen, where exactly is that pop-up park going to be? And how does that affect the roadway that's going into Webster Street?
So it shouldn't affect the roadway that's going into Webster Street. It would, let me go back to the picture. It would, do you see this picture here on the bottom right of my screen?
Yeah.
So this is like right here. This is where you drive in from Webster Street. Dairy Queen is right here. And so this is like, if you pull in from Webster onto Library Plaza Road, most people go straight, right, to the playground. This is, you take the right to go into the library, like to the side of the library. So it would be right here, blocking the traffic so that you could still get in and out of Dairy Queen here, but it would block the traffic flow through the library. And the library, I'm not on their board or whatever, but I believe that they're happy to have that blocked. It doesn't block any of the parking. It would stop before the parking.
So
but I believe there are,
I'm not gonna cut you off, but to clarify it, the pop-up park will stop the through traffic from that entrance to the library.
Well, there's the other way to get into the library where you go straight here and then take a right, but it blocks that far right entrance to the library. Yes.
Alyssa, if I may, in the bottom left corner of your slide there, gentlemen on the board, if you look, there's that drawn image. The bottom left corner would be the Dairy Queen parking lot. The bottom right parking lot over there is the old entrance to the library that's behind the knoll. And then that darker gray is the main snow road throughway.
Okay, so Tom, does our traffic people reviewed this? Is it okay?
Yeah, we've talked about closing that off for some time now.
Okay. I just wanted to bring it up. I wasn't for or against it. I just wanted to clarify. Okay,
yeah. I think the library is okay with it because, of course, they want to minimize traffic going right in front of their front entrance. There's, you know, of course, a lot of kids and stuff going in and out of the library. So it would force only the people that are really going to the library to go in the front and park.
That was my first question. My second question is, if you are asking for DPW to participate in anything, you just send a letter to the board and go on the agenda. That would be the proper way of going through. You can work with staff, but the ultimate responsibility of allocating resources to any project of this nature would be, and it's a cooperative effort. I really don't see a problem. Maybe I'm not a problem with it, but it should come to the board through the superintendent.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, I have one. Alyssa, looking at things like the climbing rock and that sort of thing, and some of the other modifications that are being proposed here, has any of this been run by town council to look at it from a liability standpoint to the town?
That's a good question. No.
Okay, I would suggest that that's a step you need to take before we bite.
Writing it down. Yes, writing it down right now. Okay, good point.
Dave, any more questions?
That was my only question. You know, I actually have one around the solar lights. You were looking for us to anchor them. Presumably, you're talking about pouring a small concrete footing with bolting so that they can be attached. Who's going to maintain them going forward? Because we don't do street lighting, and actually, street lighting is under the authority of the Board of Selectmen, not us.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's a good question.
All right,
I have a question.
So do they have to be, can you anchor them to cement, or does it have, like a parking lot? Can you anchor them to a parking lot or a sidewalk, or does it have to be a separate?
Typically, any vertical structure has to have a foundation that is basically a piece of poured concrete. Its size and thickness is dependent on the mass load of the light structure, what it takes for wind load and all that good stuff. So
Okay,
details on that are needed. Those are not, they're involved pieces of work. Secondly is, the maintenance of going forward. As I said, that isn't something that is we don't do per se structure work when it comes to building and lighting. That falls either to facilities or in our case of town for regular street lighting, it's the utility.
okay. That's good to know. Thank you. Okay.
so John has a question.
I have a question, Ms. Reed. You mentioned a survey. So
Yeah.
when was this survey taken and who participated in it?
The survey was, I don't remember the exact month. I think it was end of 19, early 2020, right, Jeremy? Because it was produced April of 20. So it's right before COVID. I don't know. I don't remember how many months it was open. The library helped us push out the survey. They sent it to they emailed it out several times, and they had copies in the library. We pushed it out on social media as much as we could into our membership. In terms of the number of participants, it was relatively low. It was maybe 250 participants. It was relatively low. We did what we could, but yeah.
The state did the survey for the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who?
There was 150 residents that participated
Yeah, well, how did you get to participate? That's,
through the library.
so if you weren't part of the library, you didn't participate.
Well, they reached out to as many people as they could. It wasn't an advertised survey. It was, word of mouth. Chamber was pushing it. The library was
So it's like a Survey Monkey type of program.
It was a small survey.
No,
Something like that.
It was a much more formal survey than that, sir. I don't want to discredit the survey by any means. It was run by a professional consulting firm that was engaged on behalf of the town through state funds. So this wasn't like, the chamber put this together on Survey Monkey and pushed this out in our own little niche. This was a very formal survey done through the way that any town would normally collect information from the public. We pushed it out and tried to assist using our social media assets. We garnered 150 respondents. You could have participated like any of the other residents in town. It was available on the town's website.
Okay.
I believe it was 213 participants or something like that. But yeah, I guess, I'm sorry. I think the timing of it was right at the very beginning of COVID, because I remember the consultant saying that normally they do an in-person event. They gather as many people from the community as they can, and they would normally do an in-person event, but they didn't do that because of COVID. So they were transitioning their data gathering efforts to an online charrette. That's why we went online. Having said that, we were happy with the numbers of the community members that participated, because we were having a hard time imagining 213 roughly people coming to the library, for example, to participate in that. So we actually thought the participation was pretty good.
So is the survey available, and could you, is it a website that we can see the survey?
It's all.
I have a PDF of it.
So
Sorry,
could you
Jeremy, what?
PDF it to Tom, and then Tom could, PDF it to the board?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I want to thank you for your time and your update. And Tom will keep us abreast on other issues, and if you're looking for resources or help, go through Tom, and Tom will come through the board to approve or deny or modify anything that you do propose.
Okay. Thank you. And if you could update us on complete streets at your earliest convenience, that would be great as well.
Okay,
There's
great.
classes coming up on the complete streets. I just have to get people into them.
Great. Okay. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well,
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks.
So then the next, thank you very much.
Mike DeMayo.
Any comments before we close this item? Want to take a 2-minute break?
I'm taking one.
All right, fine.
There you go.
All right, Ryan Procasino just arrived.
That one's-
The next item on the agenda is a meeting with Mike DeMayo, Dredge Spoils area, greenhouse.
Evening, everyone. Can you hear
Mr.
me?
DeMayo, you out there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All
Good
right.
to see you.
How are you guys doing? Glad to see you guys are meeting in person. It's good. Had I known that, I would have come in person.
Well, maybe another week you can.
Yes. So you guys ready to go?
Yeah,
We're ready to go.
Where's Dave?
All right.
hold on just for a second, Mike.
Hold on
Okay.
for a minute, Mike.
Had one of the commissioners step out.
So do you guys have a copy of the site plan?
We're gonna put that up on the screen.
Do you want this to- What is that? The narrative.
Oh, okay.
Site plans there too and everything.
Mike DeMayo.
Cool. Oh, awesome. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, Mike. Hey,
Is that-
Carrie, just returned.
All right.
Go ahead.
Good evening, guys. So as with all things that happens down the pier in town, DPW always supports the harbor master's office along with the other departments. So I'm gracious to be in front of you guys tonight. So this project started a while ago, probably back in January. It hinged on a couple of things. The first thing was the harbor park's getting busier and busier, which is good. That was a CPC project that the DPW helped out with. And the Cemetery and Greens mows the park weekly, which is, the park looks great. We get many, many compliments on the park. And the park actually has its own gift account set up. Not that we collected a lot of money for gift account, but it is out there for, in case people do want to donate. Anywho, we're in the midst of a pier project for the whole town pier, for the commercial pier, maybe move the boat ramp, things like that. So parking is at a premium down on the pier, as you know. Green Harbor is not a big harbor, but it has one of the best locations to Mass Bay, Cape Cod Bay. So I think in the future, we're going to need more adequate parking. So I looked at the DSA site. It's currently underutilized. It is used for dumping disposals from Green Harbor and other projects, which is under the DPW control. My plan is not to get rid of the whole DSA. I think we should always keep it for storage. So the plan in front of you is just a layout of what could be used in there currently for parking. It adds 22 trailer spaces and 106 car spaces as well. This will just be pervious material, nothing, it'll never be paved, no drainage, nothing like that. It's a parking lot that can be moved anywhere within the DSA site once hopefully the NOI is approved on June 1st. I went ahead with the NOI for a few reasons, and one of the main reasons was I didn't want to keep going back for the RDA every 3 years. So with this NOI that we have going June 1st, I included a walking trail on top of the whole berm of harbor of the DSA site, which is about, I think it's about 6 acres if you look at it. So I thought we would get more public benefit out of it if we added like a walking trail around there, tie it into the harbor park area. In the future, you know, if I do get more CPC funding, that may be like a stone dust walkway around there. I think it's kind of important when you add parking and things like that, invite more people to the area. The more eyes and ears you can have into an area, it helps to reduce crime. So with that walking trail, I think is a good aspect and good piece of use of the harbor of the DSA site. So that's why we kind of added that in. We do have approval from the State Public Access Board to move some of the trailer spaces from the pier over to here if it was approved. And the big reason of that is really we're starting to see the bigger boat trailers, triple axle boat trailers that are, you know, truck and trailer over 55 feet long, and the trailer spaces are only 40 feet. So they kind of block off the travel lanes like for 8-10 hours a day. And that causes car accidents in the parking lot, which is calls for service for the police and me to investigate with looking at cameras and, you know, investigating car accidents. So if the bigger boat trailers could park in the DSA, it would give them a lot more space and it would help take care of some congestion on the town pier, which is another big piece of it. Also, too, the park's probably gonna be utilized more in the future for events down there. I know there's talk of Lobster Fest this year. If that was to happen, if I had it my way, I would like to see the whole Lobster Fest be inside this area and also within the park. That way it's not congesting the pier. I think Town Pier Road would still have to be closed due to the amount of traffic and people that are there. And that's really not a big deal, I don't think, because the Town Pier Road was closed for almost 6 weeks when we did a hover walk through there. So I think one day of people driving around Island Street would be not unnecessarily inconveniencing the people of Island Street for just for one day event. Any questions so far? No?
So what are you asking from us?
I'm just asking, so the reason why I'm in front of you guys, is to get the buy-in from DPW. The DPW is listed as the owner of this parcel, so I technically need your approval to do this. I met with Jimmy Kent a few times and Tom once. Tom's been in the loop with the site plans and what's going on down there. And also, too, I think it's important, and you guys probably know this better than I, but that whole area predates the Wetlands Protection Act. So the town could go in there, within the setbacks of Concom and, mow and cut grass and do this, but I think it's better to have everybody on the same page with support. That's why the NOI was filed. The DPW is well informed of what's going on down there, so it takes everybody to be part of this project. I think it'll help alleviate a lot of the issues down there with parking. So that's one of the main reasons. But ultimately, I'm here tonight to get your approval to move forward with this project.
So I'd like to hear from Rod Procasino, right?
Mike, is this gonna be a permanent type parking? What are you proposing?
So it could be permanent, Rod. It's not, like I said, it's just gonna be purchased material, price and rocks, things like that. It's never gonna be paved. There's never gonna be drainage in there. The town would always retain the right to use it for DSA. I don't want to use the whole thing because we don't need that much parking. So if we did do dredging projects in the future, the parking lot may shift to the north side versus where it's currently proposed. I mean, the dump site can be utilized still for dump sites, for a placement site. So if that would happen, dredge spoils could still be placed in there in the back corners. Nothing says that the spoils couldn't be trucked out of there later with the proper permits. But I'm not looking to get rid of the DSA at all. But I think it's currently underutilized. The last time the town used that was 2010. And we could be using this in 2023 for the Army Corps dredging project and the town's dredging project. I know Green Harbor Yacht Club was looking to go here as well, and they've since are going offshore. So I think it's a good location for parking. It's town land, it's underutilized, and I think it benefits a lot of people.
Another question was, do you plan on doing any clearing in that area to the north at all as part of this, or are you just working on the southern end?
I plan to cut it all back, Rod. Once I have the approval, cut it all back, see what we have for space in there. Eventually, we'll get into the trail around the top of it. That probably won't be part of phase 1. That may be phase 2 if I go to CPC for some funding, or depending on what it costs. You know what I mean? But if we can get more parking and utilize the walking trail around the top of this berm, because before you were able to walk around this thing no problem. It's just been since way overgrown. Some of the other issues with this piece of land is too that it's a fire hazard for one. It's hard to get to with the Jersey barriers out of there. And in the past, we used to have stolen cars in there, which is why the Jersey barriers were in place. So I think if we had it all mowed down, I'm not looking to clear cut all the trees and things like that, but all the phragmites are invasive and they should be out of there. But that's just my opinion.
Okay. And one as far as the elevation of the proposed parking on the southern end, I would think that it would be set at an elevation that would allow you to use the northern piece to accept some dredge spoils. That's the idea?
Yes, yeah, totally, yeah. And that, like I said, if there's a major dredging project the town took on, that whole thing is still gonna be utilized for dredge spoils. Like nothing says dredge spoils couldn't go in there, and after they dried out, they couldn't be trucked somewhere else or sold or things like that with the proper permits. But I definitely want to save this for a future dredging project, without a doubt. Like I said, if we think the lot's too big, we could cut it down, move it to the north, or utilize the south piece of it. But as far as the elevations in the front there, we look to put the drive-in right in the middle of two crosswalks, because where it currently is, it's kind of tight for trails to even get in there, and you're kind of right next to a crosswalk. If we put keep the crosswalks where they are, which is a good spot, and have the drive-in right in the middle of the two crosswalks, it's going to be much safer for everybody, for pedestrian traffic and boat and vehicular traffic going in there.
So, I know the plan that I saw was that you hadn't nailed down the elevation yet, so when it looks like you probably were elevated above the existing, parking area, just so that you can create a little bit of freeboard. Is that part of your plan?
Yes, yeah, so I don't have the exact elevations, Rod, but the front parking lot would have to come up. The guardrail's currently on the ground, it's all rotted out, so that would need to be replaced at some point. But that whole front parking lot has to come up to grade. And this site is also used a lot by utilities for storage of gravel, rock, things like that. And that's not going to change. The lot's still going to be used for water line projects or gravel dumps and things like that. So nothing. Those uses are I think should still be able to use this for that type stuff.
All right, any other board members have a question?
Yeah, I got Mike, how are you gonna move those 55-foot long trailers? You got a whole line of them. How do they get in there and back out with the parking that's in behind them?
Well, they would have enough room to get in there. There'd be more than enough room with the when it gets all graded, they're gonna have plenty of room to get in and out of there with the swings. Because right now they don't really fit the town pier, and we actually use the dirt parking lot for bigger trailers now, because some of the guys that are regulars to the pier will park over there. If you get people going tuna fishing with a 30-foot boat and the trailer's 38 feet, and then you have a truck on top of that, it's blocking almost 2 lanes. You give a citation, but people are more than willing to pay the $50 citation to go tuna fishing and make $8,000-$10,000 on a fish. But the problem is it's public safety and pure accessibility that it just clogs the 2 lanes. And then when you have a person that's not very good with a boat trailer, that's when the accidents start to happen, because they can't make the swings around the bigger trailers.
So you have this parking now at this area. What about the parking that exists? What's going to happen up there?
On the town pier?
Yeah.
So the only thing that would change currently would be the bigger oversized trailers. There would be a sign at the boat ramp. The larger sized trailers would have to park across the bridge in this lot.
So you did mention you're going to move the boat ramps. Where are you going to move them to?
So there is talk about moving the boat ramp to the north side of the north pier, which so half the north pier would come down and the boat ramp would go there, which would actually put this parking lot for the bigger trailers closer to the ramp. And that was due in fact because where the ramp currently exists, when the fishermen come to offload on the weekends, there's a line of boat trailers that are blocking them to get to the north pier, and they can't unload their catch. And in the summertime when the heat, the lobsters start losing their claws and they lose their catch. So if the ramp's on the north side, the fishermen would get the whole middle piece. So, and those plans are online as well. They're on the town website and the Harbor Master website for the proposed pier plans. We actually did the borings there a day in the parking lot. So if you look at it, it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes more use of the whole pier project. And then eventually we would probably lose some trailer spaces on the pier as well, depending on how the layout would come out. So it may be more car spaces on the pier and less trailer spaces, but that remains to be seen once we have the borings back from the water side and the parking lot side to make sure we can actually build what we want to build. But that was, all that money came from grant money from 2018, so it's fine starting to go now. But those plans are online, and it shows you the proposed plans and what currently exists.
Well, Mike, what about the dredging of where the boat ramps are gonna propose to go in?
The new ramp,
Yeah, well, there's no really, at low tide, there's no water there.
it's not, it's you know where the fishermen have the offloading ramp now behind the North Pier?
Yeah,
It kind of goes there. So the North Pier portion actually comes off a little bit.
so it's gonna go just next to Bud's Sullivan's memorial?
It'll be south of that, south of
At the
that.
end of that, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but that's going to be dredged in the next couple of years. It has to be dredged.
So it'll be dredged before the ramps are moved.
It will be part of the project. The town plans to dredge next year with the Army Corps, and Dave Carey knows this. He was there when this happened. The town plans to dredge the same footprint as we did in 2009, 2010 to align with the Army Corps dredging project. But once the ramp goes through the 91 permitting license, the town's going to have to do a second phase of dredging up to the revetment wall that currently exists. We're not really sure if we're going to do sheet pile to the toe of the current existing revetment wall, or we're going to go flush. But that's what the borings will tell us once we get that data back. But the town will have to basically embark on 2 dredging projects. The current one that's coming next couple of years, and one after or before all this pier stuff gets built.
Yeah.
Where
Right.
ramp,
There's no water there. At low
What's that?
tide. There's no water at low tide. That was proposed.
where the ramp's going, if you look at the plans, it's all engineered with a revetment rock wall on the north side of the boat ramp. But yeah, the town's gonna have to maintain that and dredge that, but it's no different than what we're doing now. But the beauty is, if we had the permits, we could dredge it every year, you know what I mean? Just take out a couple hundred yards a year and just maintain that portion.
So how many ramps?
Water area, the ramp's gonna have the same amount of water as the Anchorage does. It actually
How
ties
many
right.
ramps? How many ramps will be there? You have 3 now for the dredge.
Proposed as 2,
So you're taking out a ramp.
yeah. Probably. The 3 ramps are nice, but honestly, it's, the one side is hardly ever used really. And, space is a premium down there. Could we add 3, then you're taking away space from the commercial fishermen too. I think 2 is more than adequate for that harbor.
Okay, Dave, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Since this property is actually under the control of the Board of Public Works, are we gonna be responsible for maintaining this parking lot once constructed?
Well, that would be a question for everybody to discuss. I mean, currently, the town currently kind of maintains the small dirt parking lot now with some small bulldozing, things like that. But, it's, as far as trash pickup, things like that, of course, my staff's gonna help out, but, everybody's cut short change and cut thin with budgets, but, I mean, I would like to have some support from DPW, obviously. I mean, it's not a lot that's gonna have to be paved plowed for snowing and things like that, because really not really gonna need it in the fall anyway. But as far as, occasional grading, that's something that we would have to discuss with the board, yes. So I probably need some help.
I mean, looking at what you're doing, you're basically a factor of about 100 versus the number of parking spots that you have right now in that immediate area that just service the harbor park itself. I look forward, looking ahead, it's when we get into the seasonal use of both the boats and the park, I have some concerns about the additional traffic for the pedestrians and the people coming and going. I recognize you're changing the ramp to try and clear the crosswalks. But to me, the issue that we raise by doing this too is we add traffic issues to the pedestrians that are parking there to use the park going forward. And I see that as a control issue that we're going to have to deal with. And
I agree.
I have one more item. Hang on, let me get it out too. And that is, have we done a statistical analysis of the hours being used, the number of people that are actually coming and going from the harbor park? I see it busy sometimes and I see it empty other times.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't sit there and do a statistical analysis of when the park's busy. Obviously, the park's busy on weekends. The park has a lot more weddings now. But the problem is, if the parking is across the street from the park, people don't have to park in the town pier and walk all the way over to the park. But as far as the boat trailers coming down Town Pier Road, that occurs on a daily basis as it is. Like I've already requested to get 2 LED flashing signs there for those crosswalks. And I'm not the traffic engineer, but we felt it was best to put the drive into the area in the middle of the crosswalks rather than driving over a crosswalk with a trailer.
I'm not disputing that in the least. I am talking about the traffic issues that would be within the parking area itself for people embarking from their vehicles, making progress at the same time. Boat trailers are coming in with, long swings and issues like that. That concerns me. And what's the liability of the town for people coming and going and the inevitable pedestrian injuries that could happen? I guess I've been spending too much time with town council. Liability keeps coming up in my questions.
Okay. I guess that'll be a question for town council, but the boat swinging, the trailers, the activity at the pier, those are things that happen on a daily basis. And I think it's no different than the dirt parking lot down by the Dyke Road, near the Esplanade that's utilized for parking. You have all those cars in there. You have the harbor walk there. I think it makes the most sense putting the parking right near the park if that's where people are going to use it. But that's just me.
So those are my questions.
Mike, is there could we expand this parking a little bit so that you could maybe isolate the parking for the park versus the parking for the trailers and the, and the boat and the marina, whatever?
You're right. I guess you could. I mean, this is the original plan we came up with. As far as maybe changing the layout, I'm all for that. I'm not a traffic engineer, but I'm just looking to add more space to alleviate pure congestion down there. But I mean, if the parking lot has to be changed a little bit, it's fine by me.
I just wonder if there's a way of isolating it. We might need to expand it in order to get the same number by putting an island in or something like that, and just pushing it to the north a little bit. Given just kind of isolating it. Have to add another 30 feet.
I think it was proposed to where it was because that was the higher ground and would have taken less grading. As you get towards the northeast, part of the DSA kind of dips down a little bit.
Right.
I think that's why Pat Brennan, when he engineered it, he picked this side because it'd be less of an impact, less material in there.
Right. Trying to balance the cut and fill.
So I have a few questions regarding the future use of this area for disposal of dredge materials, and how would that affect the overall area, and with if we needed to use this for a DSA in the future, how's that going to affect your parking?
At this point, there's plenty of space in there for disposal. I mean, right now there's probably about 10 to 12,000 cubic yards in there, and the thing could hold over 80, 100,000 cubic yards in the future. So if we got to a point where it was capped, that's where it would be. And then if that happened, we would just park on top of it. But that thing hasn't been used for dredge spoils in 10 years. And look at all the space that still remains.
The dredge spoils, the quantity we had when we did the pier, the town's jurisdiction was around 3,500 cubic yards. So, I mean, that area to the north has probably got a lot more than, even 20,000 cubic yards, just looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, if you spread it out 3,500 yards in that area, Rod, you wouldn't even see it. It'd be a couple of inches.
Exactly.
So,
Thought it was close.
so my next question is that if we sign on to this, in what format are we going to sign on to this? Are we going to provide some kind of a license or permit, some kind of legal agreement that that spells out, what the DPW is going to allow you to do, and is there any sunset clause in it?
As far as what's be allowed to do, that's all in the NOI that has been filed, and that comes up June 1st in front of the conservation. I mean, it's already been flagged. There's no wetlands in there. It has the buffer zones, obviously, but that's what triggered the NOI. Like I said, we could have just done an RDA or we could have just used the areas without the setbacks and kind of did, with nothing personally, because you really don't, because it predates the Wetlands Protection Act. As far as the sunset clause and what's being permitted to do in there, that's triggered by the NOI. I mean, I'm basically here tonight to ask your permission to do this. As far as, who owns the property? Is it town of Marshfield? Is it DPW? Is it sewer department? I'm not the town assessor, but I think you guys are the ones that are in care and control of the property. I'm just looking for your support to get this done. As far as a sunset clause, I'm not really sure what that means, but if it's something that has like a term ending on it, that's something you want to go back and look at in the future, I'm all for that,
I just want to make sure that, since this is a dredge spoils area, and this is what's been designated, it's always good to, have dual purposes for town-owned land, which I'm not disputing. I just want to make sure that the owners of this area, which is under the Board of Public Works, has some kind of control over the future.
I can reach out to town council.
Yeah, to reach out to town council to determine that. Because I just don't want the DPW to inherit a mess and have walk away. I just want to have something that says, this is what we agreed to. This is what final disposition, if we decide we're not going to use it in the future, and if we're going to expand it, we have a certain process to expand it, and but who has the care and control of it? I just want some kind of documentation saying, other than just a wetlands filing, that we as owners have some kind of documentation.
I'm okay with that. That's
that
fine.
way, it's Mike. That way, it's clear to you, it's clear to us, it's clear to others in the town.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to need your guys' help with this. Obviously, I met Jimmy there the other day. I think it benefits many people down there. It's more parking. Yeah, I get it. Maybe more people to the area, but it has to do with economics too for people in Esplanade. I know there's a lot of work going on down there, but the pier is busy. Let's face it. Like I said, Green Harbor is not big, but we have location, and a lot of people do come here. I envision the park getting busier and busier if we can provide adequate parking and relieve the pier for the fishing guys and things like that. I'm just trying to give everybody a piece of the pie of the areas that we have, and it's town-owned land, and it's an area that's underutilized. I definitely want to use this thing for potential dredging projects in the future. I'm not saying get rid of the disposal at all. That whole area, if one side gets filled, the parking lot could shift to the north side, and that's where the new parking lot is. And then more dirt gets added to the south side. And then once we get to a height that we can't manage it in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, who knows? Then it is what it is. But in the meantime, let's utilize the resource that we have that we don't have to pay for through purchasing of land.
That last question is related to revenue. And do we require people to pay for parking?
The only parking that's really going to be required to park in there is the trailer fees, is the parking to launch. Like the whole parking lot is utilized by everybody, but when you launch a boat, you're not paying to park, you're paying to launch. That's it. Like as far as the single car spaces in there, I don't even plan on striping the thing. I'm just going to make some kind of rope barrier or something and single cars and trailers. This is going to be hopefully a no frills little parking lot with some order and a semblance, obviously, but you're not going to see parking meters in there.
No, my question is that someone pays to launch a boat and park their trailer for the day. Where does that revenue go, and is it shared to maintain this area?
It goes to the Town Pier Public Access. That's where it goes.
So Tom, do we get a portion of that to maintain this area?
I'll have to look into that. It's one of the questions I could ask council.
So that would be an agreement.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
something we would work out with the house.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, you guys have always been great, good partnership, and if that's what it takes, because we buy the trash bags for the pier now. We take care of all that stuff. You guys do the trash pickup, obviously. Jimmy Jackson paints the lot. I take care of those payments. I buy the paint for that. Jimmy does the work. Jimmy's paid through that account.
Okay,
No, but keep in mind, 22 parking spaces is only a fraction of the other stuff that happens in there. You know, there's no boat trailers in there from November to March, so, you know, I mean, if I had the money, I'm gladly help you, trust me, but, you know, we can only do so much. I'm not looking for a pristine, paved parking lot, you know what I mean? I'm just looking for something with some crushed stone or something, or reclaimed something.
all right, one more, John Kuzak has a question.
That's correct.
Okay,
But Mike, you've got 130 spaces. I just added them up. There's
Yep.
no line, there's no lines for those 130 spaces. That's really gonna be, that's gonna be a problem. But my other question is this a coastal wetlands district?
not in the DSA. It predates the Wetlands Protection Act. And we actually had the whole thing flagged, and there's no wetlands inside of that.
It's all in the coastal wetlands district.
Not really.
To the zoning map.
Well, I had to, you call it what you will, but it would be an allowed use in there. And as far as the parking spaces, it probably should have been listed as all those parking spaces. I think when Pat did it, he listed as the potential use that the spots could hold. But I would envision with future events down there, that this parking lot would be used for other stuff as well, like other events, not just parking. So could it hold 106 cars? Yeah, maybe. Would it happen on a daily basis? I really doubt it. So, you know, that's the max that it could potentially have. And that's no different than the lockdown by Dyke Road. That thing could hold about 200 cars. And the only time that's really filled in when there's a function like a road race or something that had that, then that lot gets filled for the most part. It's not really used that much. And that lot is also used for, you know, the gas projects, water line projects, things like that, harbor walk projects. So this would also be utilized for that as well.
Okay.
And I plan on putting cameras in the lot as well, adding cameras, so we security back there as well. I'm not looking for trash cans to be put back there and things like that. So.
John, you have any other questions?
Yeah, well, you know, I don't even think we should vote and just let Mike go get his permits from whoever's required to get permits from, and then come back to us and.
I think that Tommy has to go to legal counsel and
Find out what-
first, and we're not gonna vote on it now, but
What permits are needed.
conceptually, we're okay with it, but we're not gonna vote on it. So, you know, talk to legal counsel and work out some of the details that we've had discussion. And the one last question is from Rod Procasino.
We gotta get a special permit for this, site plan modification.
I will ask Craig Guimond. If I have to, I certainly will. I don't know why I would, but I will certainly ask.
The whole site encompasses the wastewater treatment plant, so I think we might have to.
Okay.
Some sort of site modification.
Well, Greg Guimond would be my first email in the morning, but, you know, this is what the project is, and it'd be nice if you guys could take a vote on it either way, being the ones that are controlling custody of it. But
Well, the issue of conceptually, I as one commissioner would be in favor of a dual use of this land with the understanding that we could still use it in the future to a dredge spoils area. I just want something in writing from town council that what the agreement is, and that the board can actually review and vote on something.
Okay.
That's right. So conceptually, you can move forward. I just think that we need to have something a little bit more concrete in writing to actually vote on.
Well, can you make an amendment tonight to say that the DPW board requests that this site still be utilized for Dredge Bowles area and write a letter of support? Then there you have it.
So I'm gonna ask I'll poll the board. Dave, how do you feel about this?
I would be much more comfortable with a hard copy that states what we're actually agreeing to in clear language, and then make a vote. I don't see any reason why you can't proceed to the other boards for whatever permits might go. Conceptually, I'm okay with the general idea, but, you know, right now, I really don't feel like I know everything I'm voting for here. And therefore, I won't vote.
Okay,
I feel
John.
the same way.
same way. And I feel the same way too. So I think conceptually, you can move forward, but we need to have something hard and right in order to vote.
Okay.
And as soon as that's executed, I would not have a problem with a single item special meeting to take care of it so that we can help Mike expedite.
Oh, absolutely.
So let me ask you guys, is there something here you think that could be improved upon or maybe look better, or, I mean, is there something in here that you thought should be added here, or?
Sorry, Tom, what?
Maybe a traffic engineer to show that what that parking's gonna be like.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's holding it up is just the legal counsel's input. I think everyone's receptive to the concept.
Okay.
It's just having the language and future use all laid out.
Absolutely.
And that's very acceptable. I have no problem with that. Because the town could be using that in a year and a half for dredge spoils potentially,
Right.
you know, which is a cost savings to the town. So, I mean, we would be fools to not use it for dredge spoils versus going offshore to dump it offshore, which you guys know costs more money in dredging. When we could take it to our own site, because in the future, after the Army Corps dredges and we dredge in fall 2022, 23, we're going to have to do some maintenance dredging behind the North Pier. And Rod knows what I'm talking about, as the sediment comes around the island. And this is a great spot to utilize for those dredge spoils.
Okay. Well, thank you, Michael, for
Thank you, guys.
and good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Take care.
Good night, Mike.
Thank you.
So the last issue is the superintendent's report.
Yeah, I was asked by a couple of the commissioners in regards to an item on the selectmen's meeting this evening in regards to a financial policy. This is an annual vote that they get prior to getting bonding in July, meeting with bond counsel. They have to get all the newest selectmen signature on this document. And there is a little added language to this year that involves Munis and us changing over to Munis. So that's pretty much all that financial policy is. It's an annual renewal with the signatures for the bonding council.
Okay.
And we've had the opportunity to review that.
It's on the webpage. It's been there for the last few years, so everyone can just go online and.
Okay, they're voting the policy, presumably, if there's revisions, they're being called up as specific items.
Right, the only revision would be the Munis, adding language for Munis.
Well, I just recall the issue that we had where the DOR questioned the use of retained earnings.
Right,
Okay, and we agreed to, have the treasurer collector sit in on the table when we were preparing all of our rate issues and all and like that. Is that incorporated in there or not?
I haven't read it completely, so I'll have to go in and.
Yeah, I mean, because I would be very interested to see, well, how, if in fact they concluded that, if they wrote, what specifically they wrote, because as we know, the main issue is the fact that we failed to vote in previous town meetings.
Right,
And that caused the DOR to have an issue with it. And quite correctly, if you haven't approved it as a vote at town meeting, it's not legal expenditures.
right. Yeah, I'll get a copy of it and I'll forward it to all of yous and I'll take a closer look at it myself.
Yeah, have Dan review it. bring us
Yeah,
back.
Definitely,
Okay, thank you.
definitely.
Yeah, that
So
would be-
John, do you have
No, I'm all set. I understand.
Okay,
so my concern about that financial policy would it be anything that has to deal with enterprise funds, direct, indirect, on the methodology.
sure. Definitely. The other issue was the town administrator's policy. That was voted, the state of emergency was voted on 3/17/20. The emergency reassignment was voted on 4/16/20. The state of emergency has been rescinded. and the emergency reassignment is rescinded with that state of emergency. And that any reassignment would first be approved by the representative of the board, which would be me, the superintendent. So anyone that was going to be moved would have to first be cleared by me, which in turn would be approved by the board. I would bring it back.
So you would do that in consultation with us.
I would,
I'm fair with that.
Yep,
Okay.
that's good.
okay?
That's what we paid for.
Yeah, and I just wanted to give you a quick update. Generators at the well site status. The second generator was delivered Friday to Power Products. They are coordinating placing on site. Once installed, the propane piping regulator will follow installation once they're set. The pads are in, the sweeps are all in, the conduit. So it's just waiting for them to schedule the site visit. Let's see. Ocean Street paving will begin tomorrow. We are having issues with getting details. We've got sheriffs, we do have some local police. I have had a conversation with the chief about how we might be able to address the lack of details, filling of details. So currently we can't use flagmen, but my employees, if one of them is on site and has to cover for an officer that has to use the facilities or has to leave the site for anything in particular, what type of liability is on our employee if he stands out there to try to move a vehicle?
So could you explain why we can't use flagman? I thought they changed that issue to
They have, one of the problems in Massachusetts is that there's no savings in using a flagman because Massachusetts is one of, it's either the 7 or 11 prevailing wage states in the country. And we have to, if we were to have flagmen, we'd have to pay them the same as we pay a police officer. So it doesn't make any sense for us to go with the flagman until they change that prevailing wage.
well, even regardless of the money, they don't have a staff.
Correct, correct.
So you use like,
Well,
So
and
if you're gonna pay them the same, it doesn't really matter.
Massachusetts is, they have changed it, but local police kind of don't look at it very
Yeah, I mean,
fondly.
I also thought there was some criteria on uneven road too.
Right, on a state highway, you need a police
That piece
officer.
of ocean is not state highway, but it is a numbered road.
Right, right, it is an M route. Yeah, so that's where we're going with the police details. Plain Street water main, we began the project on the 17th of April. We've to date installed about 300 linear feet, 2 8-inch gates, and a 1 6-inch gate valve and 3 service taps. We've had some issues with some ledge out there. We hope to have the main in by Friday and pressure test on Friday. Hoping have it tested and chlorinated by Friday, with hopes that the main is flushed and sampled the following Monday or Tuesday. Once the results of sampling come back, then we can start working on the tie-ins and the services.
What is the limits of the?
It's from Preacher's Path
Yeah, I saw the
down
market out
to Old Plain.
there. Oh, fine, okay.
Damon's Point dam repair is about 90% complete. We're waiting on the grading at the dam, and we had to send it out to be galvanized. Once that's ready and installed, the crews have some minor paving, paging of existing walls, the removal of the sandbags, which probably about 3 or 4 more days worth of work. The Old Main Street project is set to begin the first week in June. The trees are going to be removed before that project commences. Right of entries have been coming in on a daily basis. Curbing will be delivered this week and stacked on the site of the project. And there's also been 2 locations on both Highland and Pleasant Streets that were extending the limits of the project because of some drainage issues. So we want to address that. And then Longview Terrace. We were originally going to do the water main on Surf Avenue. There isn't enough money to do the complete job on Surf Ave. So we decided to take the money that's in the account and do Longview Terrace. That's an old 2-inch main, iron main that we want to replace.
And where's Longview?
Longview runs off of Old Country up to Winslow. So we're going to be addressing that, and then in October we'll ask at the special for the money to do Surf Ave, so we can do that in the spring.
Why don't you move some money from spring?
Well, we can move that, but that's not enough to do.
I know
that.
it's not enough, but I mean.
But that's part of what we're gonna be
You sit
moving
there.
that.
You're gonna be moving that and other funds to
Yes.
fund this out of
Yeah.
the existing projects.
Yeah,
Right, but we'll need to go to town meeting. to
yeah,
put that money.
you mentioned
Yes, so I haven't forgotten.
that.
So,
I understand.
that Ocean Street, I said.
Yep.
That's pretty much my report right now.
I have one question. I know we've been in the process of testing for the PFAS.
Yes, I
Do we
got
have
an
any results.
We have, I don't believe we've got any results back yet.
Okay. How long does it take to turn that around?
I'm not sure. I'll check with Paul. I know he was taking tests last. He was doing all kinds.
The only reason I'm asking is that stuff is now out in front of the media. It was.
Right,
You know,
and Michael had sent an email this afternoon. If Rod's still here, I can maybe grab Rod. He might know if the
Yeah,
test.
I am.
Oh, they did, okay.
You weren't
What
here
test
yet.
are you talking about, Dave?
PSA,
The forever chemicals.
PFAS.
PFAS.
PFAS, yeah, PFAS.
Yeah, PFAS. They call it PFAS.
I always speak the letters because
Yeah,
they
okay.
stand for specific
But,
chemicals.
but most of the people out there call it
I know.
PFAS.
Yeah, I mean, because it's out there, they were talking about, the town of Air among others,
Well,
Down the
it's in a lot of things. It's from your
Yeah, I mean-
fighting chemicals, that kind of
I
stuff.
mean, my principal, it's in many other things too, but my principal concern was in particular with the South River wells.
Oh,
Just
right.
because of the proximity to the fairgrounds and the Central Fire Department, where they would go out, flush and clean out there in the fairground just across from the fire station.
So have we have any testing on all our wells?
Testing has been done, and I don't think we've got the results.
So we
back.
tested all our wells?
I believe so, yes.
I know they were working on it, and I believe they had completed them, but, it was
There's
incidental. I happened to be
there's an
standing-
$8 million fund that they appropriated,
Right.
the DEP.
I
Water
got the
supply,
email
and,
for that.
has been going across the whole state.
Yeah.
It's a major problem because there's no half-life.
Right.
The chemical is the chemical, it never breaks down. So whereas you get other contaminants like gasoline or oil, there's a certain lifespan.
Bacteria will take care of it.
Yeah, eventually, but solvents, they even have a breakdown, but these ones do not break down.
Right.
Well, my understanding is you could break them down, but you basically have to use a photochemical type reaction.
It's physical.
This was how they put them together.
Okay. Any other issues for the regular meeting before we go to executive session?
I have none.
None? John?
No, I'm all set.
Okay. Would you poll the board to talk about, to go to executive session and have a discussion on the superintendent's contract?
Motion's been made to go into the executive session to discuss the superintendent's contract. Chairman Shaughnessy.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Carrier.
Yes.
Clerk Cusick.
Yes.
Unanimous.
And we will only return to public session for adjournment.
Correct.
Right. Unless there's a vote taken that needs to be made public.
Okay.
All
So
right.
now we can shut off the computer. Good night.
Good night, and thank you all.